In one of the most decrepit, run-down districts of Altdorf, in a neighborhood where the guard refuses to tread unless absolutely necessary, there stands one shabby stone building among many others. From the outside, its crumbling walls and moss-covered windows gives the impression of abandonment. Birds nest within its exposed rafters, and a family of barn owls has been observed dwelling within its derelict clock tower. The structure's internal appearance is much the same as that of its exterior. A thick layer of dust blankets every surface, and gargoyles are spread throughout its halls at random intervals. Spiderwebs stretch between cracked beakers and vials within the building's laboratory. Every bit of evidence would suggest that the building has been completely abandoned. Despite this, however, the city's most dangerous elements refuse to set foot within its walls, and spectral lights can be seen dancing in its windows on certain nights. Shadowy travelers can be observed coming and going at all hours of the day through hidden exits and entrances, impossible for outsiders to find. This is the physical campus of the Grey Order, one of the 8 Imperial Colleges of Magic in Altdorf, and its mysterious visitors are none other than the secretive Grey Wizards of the Empire. The Grey Order harnesses the lore of shadows, also known as the Grey Wind of Magic, or Olgu. In the Articles of Imperial Magic, they officially practice cryptoclastic thaumaturgy, or magic that affects secrets, clouds the mind, and hides reality. More colloquially, this magical discipline is known as shadowmancy. Fittingly, the Grey Wizards are the most secretive order of wizards, keeping to the shadows as they pursue their mysterious agenda across the old world. Openly, Grey Wizards act as advisors, diplomats, and messengers, traveling far further, faster, and with more discretion than possible by mundane means. Just like other wizards in the Imperial College, powerful members of the Order are required to provide military support to the Empire's armies. These wizards are a welcome presence on the battlefield, respected for their ability to inspire troops and intimidate enemies with illusions. They refer to themselves as Grey Guardians, but what exactly they're guarding is unclear, even to other mages. This secrecy, as well as the mind-warping nature of their magic, has not built trust among the people of the Empire, and they're often called trickster wizards, though never to their faces. Only the Death Wizards of the Amethyst Order are more distrusted. Truthfully, this distrust is not entirely unwarranted. While few people know it, the Grey Order is one of, if not the, most influential spy networks in the entire Empire. The Wizards are tasked with finding and destroying organizations that internally destabilize the Empire, be they acting in religious, military, or civil institutions. A Grey Wizard's magical power means that they excel in this task. Their illusions make them masters of disguise, letting them appear as anyone or anything, and their constant exposure to Olgu makes them difficult to remember if they don't want to be. These supernatural powers of trickery and disguise allows them to infiltrate even the most secure locations, letting them spy upon or assassinate troublesome rabble-rousers or chaos cultists. While they are dedicated servants of the Empire, Grey Guardians do not directly report to any aristocrat, church, guild, or even to the Emperor himself, as no individual is above suspicion. Anyone can fall to chaos, and if an emperor is corrupted, he must be disposed of like any other man. Accordingly, while the Emperor knows more about the Grey Guardians' abilities than nearly anyone else in the Empire, he still doesn't know the full extent of their activities across his land. The Grey Order's role as the Empire's internal investigators has, perhaps unsurprisingly, brought the Grey Guardians into conflict with witch hunters. Witch hunters generally dislike mages on principle, and mages interfering with their own business is particularly galling. While both groups are staunch opponents of chaos, and are occasionally confused for one another by the common folk, they are seldom anything but rivals. Obviously, the concept of a cabal of wizards policing the world's largest nation of men from the shadows would be a massive cause for concern for the world at large. Indeed, when the Colleges of Magic were being founded, Teclis foresaw that such a group, if corrupted, could bring about the end of the world. As such, the elf only recruited the most dependable and honorable of wizards into the Grey College, and the tradition has continued ever since. Additionally, he imposed a strict code of conduct upon the Grey Guardians, beyond that of the other colleges. According to the Articles of Imperial Magic, they are expressly forbidden from selling their skills to governing bodies. The Great Order is supposed to oppose chaos, not meddle in politics or enrich themselves, and they can only use their magic for the benefit of the Empire. Grey Wizards are even prevented from using magic to further their patron's agenda, and they've historically turned upon aristocrats that acted against the Empire's best interests. They must also take vows of poverty, only owning objects that directly aid them in their missions. These rules are enforced with the sword, and the Grey Order has executed more of its members for unethical conduct than any other order of magic. This doesn't speak to any innate tendency towards corruption within the college, but rather the seriousness with which they take their code of conduct. When not disguised for a mission, Grey Guardians often dress in flowing grey robes that continue to obscure their appearance. Scarves, hoods, or great umbral beards hide their faces, and the ambient ulgu that surrounds a skillful Grey Wizard makes remembering what features are observed difficult. In honor of the Grey Order's symbol, many carry swords and are competent melee combatants, at least for a wizard. Elder members of the college will also carry gnarled wooden staffs. The primary symbol of the Grey Order, and indeed the lore of Shadows as a whole, is the Sword of Judgment. While the Order can also be represented by the cowl and the coil of mists, the sword carries special meaning to the Grey Guardians. It is a grim reminder that knowledge and study are worthless if they aren't used to benefit society. To become a Grey Wizard, a potential apprentice must be practical, reasonable, and clever. A talent for diplomacy and rhetoric is appreciated, but Grey Wizards believe such skills can be taught. The others cannot. Adults are rarely taken on as students, as they have too many attachments to the world around them. Shadowmancers believe that the more personal connections a potential apprentice has, the less willing they'll be to shoulder the thankless burden of being a Grey Guardian. Willing applicants are never accepted either, as the Grey College views such eager students with distrust. Instead, when a Grey Wizard hopes to take on an apprentice, they will travel across the Empire, seeking teenagers with a talent for shadow magic and no expectations for the position. When such an individual is located, the Grey Wizard will offer the youth an apprenticeship. If they accept such an offer, the apprentice will follow the wizard across the Empire, learning the tricks of the trade. Interestingly, this makes apprentices of the Grey Order unusually worldly among their peers, though always through the lens that their master wants them to see it through. That way, when an apprentice is done with their training, they can successfully fulfill the duties required of a Grey Guardian. The current Patriarch of the Grey Order is Riner Stark. As befits the most talented Shadowmancer in the Empire, Riner is almost impossible to physically describe. Some see him as a bent, wizened old man, while others recall him as a fit man in his late 30s. Stark's only constant trait are his great height and piercing grey eyes. A stern stare from the Patriarch can make all but the strongest-willed individuals avert his gaze, but his eyes can also carry great warmth when he wants them to. Riner seldom wishes to do so, however. Despite his stern appearance, Stark is highly respected amongst his peers and former apprentices, and all can attest that he's an excellent mentor and teacher. He's also deeply committed to the Grey Order's mission of eliminating those who would undermine the Empire from within. When presented with such foes, Riner Stark is a ruthless opponent, willing to go to any lengths to protect Sigmar's realm. While not actively rooting out enemies, he attempts to strengthen the Empire's institutions by any means possible. Riner views the cult of Sigmar in particular as a vital component of keeping the Empire unified, and will use rhetoric, intimidation, and magic to bolster the faith of those he finds improperly pious. It should come as no surprise that, in isolated communities, he's often mistaken for a witch hunter by ignorant peasants. With that breakdown of their Patriarch complete, we've come to the end of our overview of the Grey Order. It doesn't have a lot of bearing on Total War Warhammer, making it a bit of a departure from my normal content, but at least you can give the first Grey Wizard you recruit in campaign a lore-accurate name. Still, it was an interesting collection of knowledge, at least from my perspective. Stuff like this doesn't really bear upon the tabletop or PC games, but details like it can really flesh out the world. Of course the Empire can find better uses for Shadow Wizards than as simple battlefield force multipliers, but it's impossible to represent that in-game. I thought it was pretty neat. That being said, this is the last time I make 3 videos in a row about the same topic, especially when one of them is heavily focused on mechanics. That was a lot. Still, I hope you enjoyed it all, and I'll keep doing similar things regarding the Winds of Magic in the upcoming months, though probably more broken up. That's all I have for the time being, though, so until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.